All right, good morning. It's good to see you all. I think we'll all agree the room is much more tolerable today. I was thinking yesterday, we've been talking to Native Americans the past few days. I did not think we'd have a sweat lodge experience, but we got to share that. So today, they've got the air conditioning running. It just so happens to be running on a day when we probably don't need air conditioning. But I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to. So we're gonna change things up a little bit today. I had originally been told that we were gonna get the Chromebooks tomorrow. So this is a happy surprise. But it is gonna put me in a place where I want to change up how we're gonna run things today. I want us to take some time here at the beginning of class and get ourselves caught up to speed with technology. And we're going to kind of make that a priority here right at the start. All right. So you've come in, you've seen that there's a journal prompt up here. I can tell that several of you are starting to answer that question, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do, so bravo. What we need to take some time to do, though, because I'm not going to have you turn in a paper response, I'm going to have you give me these responses on a Google Doc. So if you have your Chromebook, and I think most of you should, I want you to get that open. I want you to get logged in. If you're having troubles logging in, let me know, and I will help you out. Make sure that once you're logged in, that you have logged in to Lightspeed. Okay, we can't forget that crucial step. It should be the first thing you do when you open it up of the day. Log into Lightspeed, and then you should be good to go. Unless you're trying to use your Chromebook to look up naughty stuff. Okay. I may ask you from time to time to look up something weird, but nothing ever naughty. Like when we talk Civil War, I might mention Horace Greeley, a guy that had a neck beard, which is just weird. Sometimes it's weird to see. You feel like I'm going to grow a neck beard? Like a permanent scarf?
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
I feel like if I did that, I'd be short one wife.
Started
I don't even understand the drawl of something. I mean, who wakes up one day and is like, you know what? I feel like I'd like to grow a beard, but only on my neck.
Oh.
See that? Horace Greeley was his name. Just like it says. Greeley. Pretty bad. All right, so with your Chromebooks open, guys, listen carefully. We're going to go through a few, and this should have been day one stuff, but obviously we couldn't do that. But I've got kind of a checklist over here on the board, right above where it says Croatone. That's what I'd like to do real fast here. I want to make sure that everybody has in their Google Drive, number one, knows where to find their Google Drive. Number two, has a U.S. history folder. And thirdly, has a Google Doc open where you will add your journal responses. Right? So just to make sure that everybody is on the same page with this, I'm going to change the projector screen to just a regular computer screen. And if you already know how to do this, forgive me. I'm just going to walk through it real quick so that we're all on the same page. By the way, we are live streaming. So if you want to look at yourself on YouTube, then you can go there and find yourself. All right, first off, does everybody know how to find their Google Drive? If you don't, it's at the very bottom of your Chromebook screen. You'll see a icon that looks like this. So click on that. It'll open up your Google Drive. This is obviously mine. I've got a few more things in there than you probably do. But when you're on that Drive page, I need you first off to create a U.S. History folder. Up here in the top left corner, this blue button that says New. All you got to do is click on that. Folder is the first option. Title it U.S. History, and then hit Create. That's all you got to do. Raise your hand if you are having trouble with that. I'll help you. Or, you know, if you know what you're doing, you can help out your neighbor. Please do so.
Part of the interruption, we need Dylan Berkebile, Jesse Hunter, Shay Davis, Jamie Kahn, Macy Maloney, and Cassie O'Neill to go to the library. Thank you.
All right. Once we've got the folder created, so you're in the U.S. History folder, it's probably going to say My Drive, U.S. History. You need to be inside that folder. So open up that folder. When you do, you're going to do the same thing. Going up to New. This time we're going to create a Google Doc. When that Google Doc opens, the first thing that we want to do, it says Untitled Document. Now we want to name this document. I've got it over there on the board. We're going to go U.S. History Journal, and then I want your first and last name. All right, please let me know if you're having some issues. I'd be happy to help you. Now, this Google Drive folder that you've created, this is going to be where you're going to save everything in this class. And my guess is that most of you, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're going to have a fairly active, fairly full Google Drive folder. The great thing about having this account through school is that there is no limit on the storage in your Google Drive. Now, that doesn't mean fill it up with pirated music and all that stuff. It just means that for the sake of what you're working on with school, you're going to be able to fit everything you need in there. All right, I'll show you something else that we'll be using the Google Drive for here in just a second. But for now, I just want to make sure we're good to go with the journal. Now, your journal number one, I had you guys answer that on a separate sheet of paper. You will need to add that into this document. I'm not going to have you turn anything in paper-wise for your journals. So you'll need to put that in there, and then you'll need to respond to the prompt that is up there today, which I will put back up there in just a second. Anybody having issues creating a Google folder, Google Doc? We good? All right. I'm going to go ahead and just, since we're on the journal page, I'm going to go ahead and just throw that journal prompt back up there. And then we'll talk. I'll give you a few minutes. There you go. Give you a few minutes with it. And then we'll move on and take a look at a few other things. But please number these when you put them on the Google Doc. That's pretty important. You can just put J1, J2 if you want, but make sure that I can tell the difference between them. You will turn these in at various times. The first time you will turn these in will be a week from Friday, next Friday. I think that's September 1st. And when you do, by that point, I will have given you 6 of these journal prompts. For a chance at full credit, you have to do 4. But if you're looking for easy extra credit, I know that I don't have any grades in Alma yet. Give me time. But by the time we're done with the 9 weeks, we usually have somewhere 500, 600 points possible. So it's nice if you can give yourself some extra credit when you have a chance. You do all 6 journal responses, you're guaranteeing yourself 6 points of extra credit. It's pretty good. By the way, I did notice a small mistake here. Down here where it says Hurons, I don't know why I put the hundreds. Okay, that should be 1,000. I don't know why I put hundreds. Mayor. Should say thousands. That's my fault. In fact, I'll make it back and change it. All right, I'm gonna step away for a second and let you guys have a few minutes. Please take this opportunity to answer this, maybe add the first journal prompt in there. Ask me questions. Let me know what I can do to help. You know, we're stuck in it here. It's the same way one. There's no question. There's no like low-key judge here. Kind of feel sick. I just said low-key. All right, now, I know that there's several of you that may not be done. If you want to continue to answer this, that's fine. But I do want to show you a few other things that I wasn't able to show you on day one that now that we have our Chromebooks, you guys can take a look at. If you don't have your Chromebook, you could look off at your neighbors and that way you'll be able to see what we're talking about. First thing I'm going to bring up is our class webpage. If you look over on the checklist on the whiteboard, that's number 3. And I'd like for you to get to that page and bookmark that class site so that you're going to have easy access for it. I do not use Google Classroom. This is what we're going to use instead. And we use this to some degree or another almost every day. So you want to be able to bookmark. If you don't remember the site address, all right, it's not going to show up there. I can put this down and there we go. It's right there. Or you can Google Mr. Klein's Classroom. Make sure you spell it with a C. Should be the second hit. But bookmark that site for sure. That's part of it. Yeah, it's I think sometimes if you go through Google, it pops you up on the like the personal info page. But over on the left, you'll see the links to the classes, and you just click on U.S. history. That's what I would bookmark. And once you get there, just once again, a couple of things I want to point out that can help you. Number one, yesterday, we didn't have our Chromebooks. We were taking a few notes. I gave each of you a copy of the essential questions for the day. That'll be the only time I will ever print those for you. Okay? From now on, you'll find those right here on the web page. If you open that up, you can make a copy of it. Now, listen carefully and look at the projector screen, please. This is a careful, big step. Once you've got this up here, if you're going to use these, you need to save it to your Google Drive. The way to do that, there's a little folder up here. If you don't know what you're doing, please look at the projector screen. There's a little folder here. When you click on that, it's going to pull up. You're not going to have much on your Google Drive. Certainly not near as much as I do. But find your U.S. history folder and click Move. That's all you have to do, but you need to take that step to make sure that it gets to where you want it to go. All right? If you haven't, you don't understand how that goes, raise your hand. I will help you, or your neighbors can help you as well. All right? That's a crucial step. So the key thing here is then you'll be able to type in, and then you'll have this saved somewhere where you'll be able to access it real easily. That, if you want to keep this up, that's up to you. We need to finish a couple of questions here. We'll do that here in just a minute. I just wanted to let you know where that is located. All right, for your journals, maybe a day you're absent, or maybe a day where you didn't quite have enough time to finish. There is a link here. It says Unit Journal Prompts. And if you open that up, you'll be able to see all of the journals that we have done. They'll be located right here. As you can see, today's is already up there. So you'll be able to see that. So if you are absent and you go to the course calendar, remember that's right here. You open that up and you see that we had a journal, J2. All right, well then okay, I was absent. I need to get that journal made up. All I have to do is click on Unit Journal Prompts, and there we go. All right, so please be aware of that resource. Also, don't forget the live streaming option for review, or if you were absent. If you click on that channel, it'll pop up there. It says we're live now, so if you click on that, there's usually about a 2-second delay, but you can chime right into the class, as it goes. All right. All right. Any questions on resources on the website, bookmarking the website, anything like that? Okay. Got the journals, should be good there. All right. All right, so moving on. What I want to do now is I want to finish up our discussion from yesterday. I only need about 10 minutes and we'll be done. So you've got a couple options now. Whatever you were doing to take notes yesterday, you want to just finish today by using that same piece of paper. or the questions that I handed out yesterday, that's fine. Or you can open up that question document off of the website, and you can answer them there. But we need to get one or the other in front of us, and then get ready to finish these up. Now, I had somebody tweet at me last night, Mr. Brayton Sugarcane, and he asked me the same question that about 15 other students asked me. Sorry, you're not original. That's okay. But, it's a good question. Hey, do we need to tweet now, or can we wait and tweet tomorrow since we didn't finish? Yeah, I mean, if I'm not done with the notes, and that'll happen very rarely, this was just kind of an exceptional case here. You can wait and tweet. If you haven't done it yet, you can tweet today. And I'll pull that up when we're done and kind of give some guidance on that as well. For now, though, let's get this done. All right, so I've got some review up there from yesterday. If you remember, we talked initially about that. Europe was in a real bind. All right, they were desperately trying to keep trade going with China, with India, with those areas over in Asia. But now they found themselves in need of a different way to get there. Okay, remember that because of the Crusades, the Silk Road, that trade route from Europe to Asia, which city did that trade route go through? Heard it. Constantinople. All right, Muslims now control that. That door is closed. So we saw these countries looking for a different way to get there. The Portuguese go first. And were the Portuguese successful in finding another way to India and China? See, heads nodding. All right. Blake, what was that other way? How'd they get there? No, remember? Yeah, what you got? All right. Went around Africa. All right, then went south around Africa, went up around the Cape of Good Hope. There we go. So now we have the Spanish. They finally have their act together. Now they're going to try to find yet another route. You remember, they're going to send Columbus. He's going to go our direction. He's going to go west. Now that's a truly scary idea. Because if you remember, like I told you yesterday, that if you looked at a map in 1492, all that you would see in this direction would be water and sea monsters. I mean, there were a lot of people still thinking you would sail off the edge of the earth if you went this way. But that tells you a lot about how important trade with India and China really was. You guys remember Columbus heads this direction, lands in what today we would call the Dominican Republic, that island of Hispaniola. And, after a while it begins to dawn on him that obviously this is not India, this is not China, it is a brand new world, at least for Europeans. And he's going to go back and forth 3 times. Sometimes when he goes back to Spain, he will take back some Native Americans with him to show off, hey, look what we found. All right. So the Spanish are going to move on from this India-China thing, and they're going to start thinking, what can we get out of this new world? And they're really focused on gold more than anything. We'll see the Spanish largely settle in Mexico and Central America, but they will make their way into Florida, into Texas, into areas out west. All right, especially once the Catholic Church gets over here, and they want to start trying to convert the Native Americans. Okay, there's a reason why there are so many places out west that are city names starting with San Diego, San Francisco, Santa Fe. All right, those are all cities that were settled by the Spanish. San is Spanish, anybody know for what? I don't know if you will learn this in Spanish. San is Spanish for saint. So those are cities that have been named after, Catholic saints. Los Angeles, City of Angels. Okay, these are all cities settled by the Spanish. So that's where they're located. So the two countries that we didn't have time to talk about are the two countries that are probably going to have the biggest impact on the United States itself. Spain's going to be mostly south, Texas and Florida. But the other two countries, France and England, much bigger impact on where we live. Right? So I want to say a few words about each of them, mostly answering the question, where do they settle and why do they settle there? I want to start with France. Now, France is in the same boat as Spain. We've got to try to find another way to get to India and China. Spain has gone further south. You know, France knows about this new world now. They hear what Columbus comes back with. Now they're thinking, okay, Columbus didn't find a way by going south. What happens if we try to go north, try to go around this new landmass? Right? So that's kind of what they're doing. You know, there are these stories, these rumors of something called a Northwest Passage. That there is a way to go north of North America and around, and then you can come back down to China and India. Does that Northwest Passage exist? Yes or no? It actually does. I mean, it is up there. I mean, you can go around North America by going north. You run into a few problems by doing that. What do you think those problems might be? Yeah, right. It's just friggin' cold, man. All right. I mean, you know, those areas through those northern Canadian islands, those channels, those passages are frozen solid, like 10 months out of the year. So unless you time it right, you're going to have a really hard time pulling that off. The French never find it. But once they kind of give up on that, they decide to do what the Spanish did. You know, let's see what this new world can give us. They start colonizing, start settling land. A couple of names to know. All right, the first person to sail for France and come over here is a guy named Giovanni Verrazzano. If you're thinking, hey, that doesn't sound French, it's because the dude's not French. All right, he's Italian, just like Christopher Columbus. But he's got to, feed his family. So France says, hey, we'll pay you to sail a French boat over to the New World and see what you can find. So that's what he does. He's the first European to sail into New York Harbor. You know, when we talk about immigrants coming into this country, we will, here later on, the part of the immigrant experience was that you sailed into New York. And what was the first thing you saw when you sailed into New York? No. That was later when they did the tour. First thing you saw, come on. She's big and green. Statue of Liberty, right? Yeah. Statue of Liberty. Well, before you get to the Statue of Liberty, when you sail in, you sail through these 2 points. Those are called the Verrazzano Straits, named after this guy. So he's the first guy to sail in. Doesn't really do much settling, though. He just sort of sails around. Oh, yeah, this is nice. And goes back. The first guy to really set up French settlements, and this guy's actually French, a guy named Jacques Cartier. Now, there we go. That's a good subtle French. Jacques Cartier. When you guys are all in Spanish, you have to pick a Spanish name.
Yeah.
See, when I was in school, we had choice. You didn't have to take Spanish. You could take French. So I took French. It was tough. I mean, I had a good teacher. I was very fortunate there. But Jacques was my French name one year before I had changed it. Jean-Luc. Jacques Cartier. He's coming over now. He's coming over to try to find that Northwest Passage. And he almost thinks he's found it. He finds this huge river that is wide enough and deep enough that he can sail his ships down it. But I mean, it eventually comes to an end. That's the St. Lawrence River, still there, forms part of the northern border between us and Canada. Realizes, hey, this isn't the Northwest Passage, it's just a really big river. But that's where these early settlements begin. All right, so we've got the Spanish, who are in southern America, Central America, Florida, Texas, those areas. The French are going to go north of us, up into Canada. So that's going to leave the middle. That's going to leave the middle. And the middle will largely be the focus of our third big power, and that is the English. Right? So let's do the same thing with the English. Where and why? I love the English. You know, they're eventually going to become the main power. They are going to be the most powerful country on earth eventually. Give them another 50 years and they'll be it. But around where we are, you know, 1500s, especially towards the end of the 1500s, right around 1580, they're just one of many different powers. But they're ruled by one of the great rulers in world history, Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth was famously known as the Virgin Queen. She never got married. So that's why they called her the Virgin Queen. But let's just say there's, you know, Virginia is named after her. The Virgin Queen. Which is, it's amusing that that state is named after a queen who was supposedly virgin. But does anybody know what the state motto of Virginia is? Like, if you look at a license plate for Virginia, it says, Virginia is for lovers. I feel like the definition of irony. So, anyway. Eventually, the English will become this big power. They'll have 13 colonies, that old story. But that's not how things start for the English. If we're looking at rankings of the three big powers here, France, Spain, and England, England would be number 3. For now. Now, the first Englishman to sail over here, he's continuing a trend here. When countries send people over to explore North America, they apparently only send Italian guys. John Cabot, just like Christopher Columbus for Spain, Giovanni Verrazzano for France, is Italian. He sails over here for England. Sends his ship around, doesn't really do much. I mean, he does land, but the big thing that he does is he starts up some big fisheries, big fishing areas for England. That's good money. That's big money. The first big name that we see here is honestly Elizabeth I. She comes into power as queen, the 1580s. This is really where we start to see England start exploring. Different reasons, though, than the French and the Spanish. They're looking to claim land. Elizabeth doesn't really care about that right now. The biggest thing she cares about is trying to stick it to France and Spain. The three of them were just constantly fighting each other. And it's funny because, you know, they also were constantly marrying each other. You know, Elizabeth was engaged to the prince in France for a while. Obviously never married him. Her older sister was engaged to the same guy for a while. And she never married him either. Poor guy. Now, granted, Elizabeth's older sister Mary got engaged to him when they were both like under 10 years old. So I don't know that his heart was broken too much. I think they broke up when they were like 11. So hopefully they got over it, right? I mean, that's just kind of how things ran. Constantly fighting, constantly married. But Elizabeth really doesn't like the Spanish and the French. So what she does is she sends people over here to the New World to set up little bases from which they can play pirates. That's all she's concerned about. We're going to send people over. We're going to have them attack French and Spanish ships and steal all their stuff. Ha ha ha. We'll show you. So one of those people was a guy, a guy named Francis Drake. His only job, go over there and attack people, steal their stuff. You know, there will be times, though, where Drake and other people like him may need to park the boat, unload their treasure, take on new supplies, So she sent another guy over named Walter Raleigh. His job was to set up those little ports. People like Drake would pull into and get some food and water. You know, there's a reason why Raleigh, the capital of North Carolina today, that's named after this guy. He was the first to hit North Carolina. He sailed into these islands off the coast. You know, my family and I, we a lot of times go to Carolina Beach on vacation. Be in the same general area. But he settles in on a little island that they call Roanoke. He's got men, women, and children. Their job is get off the boat, build homes, make babies, and have an English settlement. Everything's going fine. But then Raleigh needs to go back to England, get more men, women, and children, get more food. So he leaves them behind. They're doing fine. Sails back to England. I mean, it's not a quick trip. Takes him a little while to get back. But what does he find when he gets back to Rome? Nothing. He doesn't find anything. No people. No buildings. It's like a clean slate. What happened? I don't know. Nobody knows. The only thing that Raleigh found was this word carved into a tree. You would think they might have carved, Walt, here's where we went. But instead they carved this word. What does that mean? I don't know. We have our guesses. Croatoan was the name of a local Indian tribe. So the thought was that that tribe attacked the settlement at some point, whether they killed everybody or more commonly they would, kill some, but maybe enslave some of the others. That's a chance. Nobody knows. Just suspicion. But that's what happened. So, I mean, when we think about the English, eventually are going to be the head of these 13 colonies, the biggest power on earth. They don't have a very good start. They're basically pirates and failed settlers for a while. Right? But at this point, it's enough for everybody to understand. And this is basically what we're looking at here. This is where we leave it. All right? Spanish to the south. Here's the British. And as you can tell, I told you if we ranked these three, England would probably be number 3. I mean, this goes way down. Spanish control a lot. French, coming out of Canada, they control a lot. I mean, you notice Indiana here. We were part of the French territory, something they called Upper Louisiana. King of France was named Louis, so that's what they named him after. So they've really got a lot of control here, again, for now. So what we will do between now and mid next week is we'll look and see what happens that switches the map. Because eventually, by the time we get to 1776 and we're fighting the British, they're the ones who have all the color, not the French. So what happens? That's our focus for the next couple of days starting tomorrow. Are there any questions over things that I covered either yesterday or today? Typically, we'll be able to talk about all this in a day, but this was just an exceptional situation. All right, so here's what I want you to do. If you haven't tweeted yet, this would be a good time to get that done. And I would like for somebody to bring up Twitter, not on their phone probably, but on their computer, because they're telling me that it's working. They unblocked it now? Okay. You have to log into Lightspeed still. But they just came down and told me that it was working, so while it's fresh in your head, are you logged into Lightspeed? Log out and log back into Lightspeed. That seems like. The only other thing I could think of would be to shut her down, bring it back up. Okay, hey, one more thing. Kind of take a look up at the board. I'm going to bring Twitter up. I know that there's a few of you still having troubles. I will get it worked out, I promise. All right, the idea behind what we're doing here is that we'll be able to go to our hashtag FHSUS P4, right? We don't have anything on there right now, some old tweets. There we go, that's right. There we go. So we got 3 of them up there, but you know, when it's all said and done, we're going to be able to see everybody's tweet on there, unless you're set to private, which you know we'll work on that. But you know, when it's all said and done, we're going to have a nice little study guide here. Here's the key, though: if every single one of you tweets about Prince Henry, the Navigator, only one of you is going to get full credit. So I'm encouraging you to tweet about different things, right? We want a nice coverage as we post these. Yes?
So like, if there's a person from another class that tweets like the same thing.
I'm only going to talk about this class.
Okay.
Now, don't copy somebody.
Right.
That's pretty easy to tell, but I'm only going to, as far as the grades and you talking about the same material, that's just going to be this class. You guys are lucky. You got a smaller class. The folks that have a class of 35, they're going to have some fun. Blake, what was your question?
Oh, no, that was question.
Any other questions? All right. That's it.